My love is
Deeper than the holler and stronger than the river.
Am I too high for you?
You're too high, but I'll go.
I can go lower.
I'll go higher.
No, I want to go lower. My love is
Deeper
deeper
than
than the
the-
holler.
Stronger than the river and higher than the pine trees growing tall upon the hill. Oh my God. It definitely is probably me starting
How about you start and I'll sing with you?
and do it that way.
Yeah.
My love is deeper than the holler, stronger than the river, and higher than the pine trees growing tall upon the hill. My love is purer than the snowflakes that fall in late December.
Randy Travis is with us here, everybody.
See? And honest as a robin on the springtime windowsill, and longer than the song of a whippoorwill. There it is. That was all Randy Travis.
We went and saw Randy Travis this past weekend.
Good old
and
Randy.
Had no idea that it was actually that concert was going to bring us to our knees.
And we said after we were talking about growing up and what it meant to us. And so
Yes.
in my home,
What did it mean to you? Yeah.
we loved Randy Travis, but the biggest sentimental part is we listened to plenty of Randy Travis, but me driving out to Colorado with my mom. It was just me and my mom driving from Florida to Colorado to take me to Bible college.
Drop you off basically for college.
Yes.
Yeah.
And which I knew signified for her, like, almost giving
You're
her.
the baby.
Yeah, giving the baby away.
Giving the baby away.
That was the last one at home, and that I would be leaving and be gone, and we probably listened to that song 30 times a day
On the road.
on the road,
Yeah, 'cause
and we
that's
turned
a
it
very
on.
long road trip.
And
from
so
Florida to
every
Colorado.
day we're turning that song on and singing it together, and Randy Travis was a big part of that trip. And so I always think of Mama
Yeah,
whenever I hear that song.
it's a big deal.
So I was weeping.
Oh, you were weeping. You couldn't speak.
No,
You were trying to tell me
I
what it
tried to
meant
tell
to
you
you
a few times.
and you could not open your mouth or even look me in the eye.
no.
And then to me, kind of the same road trips with my dad, because I feel like flying back then wasn't nearly as like popular as it is now. So we road trip to Florida, I think probably 1 or 2 times every year. And my dad would always put on like his tried and true ones that he could sing along to get him through like the late hours of the night. And Randy Travis was one of them. So loved like his top 3 or 4 hits. And then I remember a very sentimental moment between him and my mom, how he kind of like dedicated the song Forever and Ever Amen to my mom. And as a kid, and I got to witness that, I was like, oh, this is precious between my parents.
Yeah.
So that meant a lot to
Forever
me too.
and ever, amen. That and I would say the setting, because
Of the concert itself.
and leading up to it. Well, first, whenever I saw Randy Travis was coming to Paramount, our little Ashland
Our
city,
little tiny like,
I'm like,
theater.
I bought them immediately.
Immediately.
Like I didn't even actually immediately used Apple Pay, so it was faster.
Yeah.
Bought these tickets, and I'm like, I'm buying 4 because somebody's going with us, and so bought 4 tickets, only to realize that it's
Did
not.
you know that Randy Travis had a stroke and like couldn't speak? And
I
stuff?
knew I knew that he had a stroke and stuff, but I'm like, but I've
I
also
had
seen
zero
him.
idea.
I've also seen him do that, like what he did at the end, the amen,
Like
and I'm
singing
like,
to the
maybe
mic,
he's gonna
yeah, a
like
bit.
sing a little bit with people, is what I'm thinking,
Yeah.
or him sing some, or it like I had no idea, and then we learned that
He had a stroke that almost took away his complete like speaking ability, and that it is actually his like musical friend who
Yeah.
was singing the songs in the concert.
he's gonna sing them all.
And that Randy was just sitting up on stage with his wife. But it was also being performed by his band that had been with him
His
for
whole
like
band,
25
the
plus
original
years.
band.
Most of them, yeah.
We were just excited to see him, and we
And
learned
just to hear song. Yeah.
and to hear the songs.
I don't really care who's.
We knew it wouldn't be him,
Yeah.
but when he came out on stage, we both
Wept.
like crazy.
And Randy Travis, to my heart, the man, honestly, doesn't really mean that much to me. So that surprises me that I wept so much. But I think seeing such frail.
Mixed with honor,
Yeah.
like at that moment, because everybody was like honoring him and his life and legacy, and we're in this stage of I think, hard work in life, and we're thinking about life a ton in terms of decades, more than you are as a kid, and we're like stages of life. This is our work stage, and then you've got, for us, more of the life, or the vacation adventure travel stage, and then the kids, and then you talk about grandkids, and whenever you see,
we kind of think of our life in like different sections.
Yeah. And when you see that, it's because it was played out, and it had the little video that had the huge video in the background playing with. It showed him as a young man, and it was always playing the same music video that he was singing.
Yeah.
Randy Travis would be singing on mute on the video, and the guy singing,
or like mouthing, I guess,
mouthing
the
it,
words.
yeah. And it would match up, and to see him sitting there, and he was always doing this,
always touching his heart.
Yeah.
And pointing out at the crowd to fans that he could tell were like physically, they were raising their hands or they were standing up and dancing with their loved one. He was always pointing at you and like giving you a huge smile and touching his heart. And it was just like, he's so thoroughly enjoying this. And it just like really hit me with perspective, because it was like he definitely thought he wasn't going to make it at some point, that stroke was going to take him out and he wasn't going to be able to enjoy any of this anymore.
Yeah.
But here he is. He gets to enjoy it, and he's really like taking it all in.
Yeah.
And really trying to love his fans.
To love it.
And love the whole atmosphere again, that I'm sure when he was a younger man, I'm sure he loved it, but it definitely means something different to him.
For sure.
Now.
Yeah. There was what else was in that one? You had the AI song that came out that used his voice.
The AI song was interesting.
Was it like horses?
It was called Horse. Oh, that's Blippi. Different horse song. It's called Horses in Heaven. And I actually sang it, or I actually listened to it the other day. I sent it to your parents. And it was...
Was there two songs? Was there two AI? There was two AI. There was an older one. The horses, the Blippi song is the newest one.
The Horses in Heaven is the newer one, I think.
But
and then
Horses, though, Blippi one is is it Gray or Wawa's favorite? One of their favorites, or was?
It used to be Gray's. But they took snippets of Randy Travis's voice in all of his past songs and overlaid it to where his voice is singing this song, but I think they used AI to like fill in the gaps in between syllables or whatever the case may be. But it really is his voice singing Horses in Heaven, and it's a precious song. It makes me want to move to a farm, learn how to ride horses, and teach my children how to ride horses.
And turn into a cowgirl.
And
cowboy.
I want to sit on the front porch with a banjo and like fiddle around while my kids two-step in front of me.
We left. That's a good one then, because we left there, and then you wanted to your big vision had shifted from the Randy Travis concert that we're moving to a farm.
It literally shifted my vision for
my family. We're just whittling stuff now. Churning butter. Everybody's going to chew tobacco.
Yeah.
Horses,
garden. I want to sew everything. No more vehicles. We're selling it all, and we're moving
hand
to a farm.
crank for electricity.
Yeah.
And we're going to we'll make ointment out of horse poop and stuff, and we'll honey, and that's what we use to bathe and stuff now and brush our teeth.
Yeah, using horse honey.
Is that you?
What is horse honey?
That you wanted to move to this this new farm.
Well, because all of Randy's songs, number one, in between me sobbing in the car, I mean, my voice went up 13 octaves trying to get these words out in the car.
Which once you start crying, it's the mind is in a emotional state to continue to want to cry.
Yes.
You're gonna think of more stuff, and it's incredibly sad at that moment.
Oh, it was so sad. The videos to most of Randy Travis's songs were a grandpa or a grandma teaching him how to do something, and there's very little phones and screens, and so these grandkids are just hanging out with their pawpaw as they're fishing and grabbing water from the well, and with Graham
biblical. It's always
cleaning the
no matter
clothes
how
in the
you
river.
think you said pawpaw. Like, but it's always a different name than what you're expecting, or a different way that it's said than what you're expecting. We
Always.
had Papa. Ours were both were Papa.
You had Papa. I had Papaw
Yeah, Papaw.
in my house. And then, oh, shoot.
But
Oh,
there's so many other names.
Pap.
Pap,
Pap was the other
Pap
one. I
Schmear.
had Papaw and Pap.
Pat, and Pap Schmear and Pappy. That,
No, but the videos, it was always like it was always the grandkids kind of just following the grandparents, or maybe it was their mom and dad, I don't know, following them around and just like learning from them.
Learning
And
their
I looked at
skills.
Dalton and I was like, what hobbies do I have that my children are learning from? I was like, I think I need to go out and get hobbies so that when my kids are following me around, I have something to teach them. I was
Yeah.
like, so we need to move. I need to learn how to garden. So when Wiley's following me around, she can learn how to garden and
Everybody
gray
make
and
their own
Wawa.
clothes.
Everyone, we need to start sewing so that we can sew our own clothes as a family.
you
Like,
make what you wear, what you make.
you wear what you
You
make.
eat what you kill.
You eat what you kill. I like it. So it really did. I literally was like, what value am I bringing to our family? Because I don't have any of these cute little hobbies like back in the day.
And plenty of value
Thank you.
would be one. We spent time on that.
We did. But it was an honest thought that I had. But I think it's good. Like it's going to be good. I do really want to get more hobbies into my life so that I do have something to pass on. I think about Joanna Gaines, and I don't know like the ins and outs of her life, but I do know she has lots of hobbies. And so when her little kids are at her feet, she's able to pass down baking, flower pressing. Let's go out to the garden and grab some flowers and make a little bouquet for our friend down the street. Like she has these little hobbies. She also is someone who doesn't have TV in their house. And that's something that I've always been.
Shout out to anybody that's done that.
Shout out to anyone that's done that. I don't
With-
know how
with
you
kids.
survive. But I've always been interested in it because a lot of the people that I'm drawn to don't have TV in their houses. So I'm like, there's obviously something about that speaks to me.
There's something there.
But just not right now.
Crazy. I'm like, I mean, you have great moderation with the TV, though. More than most, by far. Like, anyone that steps into your shoes for a day normally gives more TV.
Yeah.
So, myself included. But the TV,
And that's even changed over the years.
yeah.
Wiley was one show a day at night. She got 30 minutes of TV, starting at the age of, I think she was 18 months is when we started. And now my boys get 2 hours in the morning, and then 30 minutes while I cook dinner, and then 30 minutes before bed.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know how people do it without TV.
But they play a lot.
They do. They play a ton. I've
Yeah, and they're
realized
spunky.
this. I've realized that there's way more hours in the day than I ever even realized. And yes, they watch 1 to 2 hours, depending on what time they wake up. It's always off by about 9 a.m. 1 to 2 hours in the morning, and then they play for what, 3.5, 4 hours before
Oh, they'll
nap?
play.
Like, it just evens itself
Running
out.
around.
Yeah. So it definitely has changed since Wiley, and I think it's just part of the motherhood process, adapting and seeing what works for you, what you want to keep, what you want to get rid of, what you want to change.
My thing is, too, with the farm one is that I grew up, which I always think is I'm like, to hold on to. It makes you think more the farm one is that I grew up way more outdoors, way more country, because my mom,
You definitely grew up more country.
way more country.
Yeah.
And so, and especially like when you say outdoors, because I know you were trying to take that one. Are you saying like not outdoors as much?
Well, I spent a ton of time outdoors,
Yeah,
but it's
yeah.
not in the country. It's
Yeah.
just in the neighborhood yards.
Mine is like, I mean, just with hunting and fishing.
Yeah, I did none of those type of things. It was all just like playing in the neighborhood. But I will not let that die. I know we're in very like business mode, business season of life, and you do not hunt and you do not fish.
Yeah.
You will be taking our children to do those type of things.
From like, I mean, my dad used to
point.
take, because my dad, fishing wise, my dad used to work at a waste management place or a trash plant, but they had great ponds around there. And on the weekends, they would let him come in, and you always thought it was cool, because you're 6 years old, and you get clearance in a place that's gated, and your dad waves at him, and they let you in, and then he feels the freedom to park, and he's waving and knows everybody at this big facility, and it was great bass fishing. And to be around there, and he's always loading us up.
Yeah.
And to catch, I remember I caught one of the biggest bass out of there that we got to take home. And it was so fun to fish, and you were just thrilled. And so from 5 to, really 16, 17, we hunted at least a few times a year and fished, probably 12,
I feel like
15
if you
times a
grew
year.
up fishing, it's some of your fondest memories with your parent or your grandparent or aunt, uncle, whoever it is. I feel like if that's a part of your story, it's some of your fondest memories. And that's why I want to keep it going in our family line. I'm honestly not huge into hunting just because it does I feel like it's next level, next tier.
Yeah.
You got to get hunting license and guns and ammo.
We got
and
guns.
Stuff, And so it's just super unfamiliar for me. But fishing is let's go grab our little worms. It definitely is
With Andy
nostalgic, even for me, even though
Yeah.
I physically have never fished except for one time. I'm let's go grab our poles and grab our little worms and go down to the holler little
We'll go
pond.
down the holler. The holler
And
pond.
cast
We'll call
our-
it the holler pond.
the
If we
holler
have the
pond.
farm, it'll all be Randy Travis themed everywhere.
Yes.
So
Everything
if you're
will be
ever
named
never
after
a
Randy
men
Travis.
bathroom,
Yes.
the holler toilet,
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah. The 3 wooden crosses bench.
Yeah.
Porch swing.
Porch swing. Most uncomfortable porch swing named after Randy Travis.
No, but it'll be good. We'll get there. And I do feel I just want those farm-esque qualities or activities, I guess, to be carried on
I think so.
through our family as we continue to raise our kids.
Of that concert, what was your favorite song?
Okay, so obviously my favorite songs are any that I can sing, which is My Love is Deeper, Forever and Ever Amen, On the Other Hand.
On the other hand, everybody was excited about.
Yeah. I feel like there's one more.
I Told You So.
Yeah, and then there's one
love
more.
I Told You So.
3 Wooden Crosses. 3 Wooden Crosses was one that I, in the summer, would roll my windows down and just belt out on the highway, wherever I'm driving to. Just 3 wooden crosses on the right side of the highway. But I would scream it. And I'm sure the cars next to me was what is this girl singing? And it was all about 3 wooden crosses.
I love 3 wooden crosses.
Well, it's interesting because on highways you
All
pass
little crosses. Yeah.
often, and I feel like that's why I always ended up
Thinking of
playing
that.
that song on road trips.
Free advertisement for Randy Travis.
Free advertisement. I loved that one, and then the one that I didn't know that I would have loved was the Walk on Water, talking about
Yeah.
his pawpaw
Yeah.
walking on water.
PayPal or something.
His PayPal.
It's always it's PayPal. It's PayPal.
That one was a fun music video to watch, and it was a fun song to listen to and go along with the story of the lyrics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
What about you? What was your favorite song?
I think, well, I Told You So. I just really is the most recent one that I fell in love with in the
Yeah.
last couple months. So I was excited to hear that one. Mm-hmm. I cried the most at the Deeper than the Holler, for
Yeah.
sure.
Which really isn't a super sad song.
No,
It just has
just
a
thinking
ton of
that way to
meaning.
me.
Yeah.
But then
Imagine if your mom would have been at that concert with you. You all would have been just
Oh,
laid out
gosh.
on the floor.
and just wept uncontrollably and got kicked out by
Like
security.
that one meme of that
Yeah,
guy.
that guy.
That would have been you guys.
No, I Told You So. I like singing that one.
That one was fun.
So that one was a good one too.
Yeah. And we went with my parents,
Went
which
with
was
your parents.
fun because my dad was one of the
Yes.
people who introduced me to Randy Travis.
I know, because in the middle of that crying, I went to the bathroom and the guy said, we were both peeing, and he looked at me and he was like, man, I think the guy before sounded more like Randy Travis. I was like, I see that, the guy that opened, and he was like, then the guy that's singing for him right now.
Remind me, the Sam Smith guy,
Yeah.
Sam L. Smith?
Yeah.
Sounded more like Randy Travis?
I'm like, he was deeper.
He
He
was deeper and countryer,
Yeah.
but not nearly as
smooth.
smooth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He,
This guy was a velvet voice. It was like James Dupre or James Dupree.
yes, I think
I
that's
don't
it.
know, but it was a velvet, solid, hit all the notes.
He was good.
Yeah, he was good.
That guy felt so comfortable talking to me. I thought I knew him. I'm like, I must know this guy, and I didn't.
Probably do.
But
Which is also interesting.
That
Side
he's-
note, I would love to be a fly on the wall in a men's bathroom. I want to see 2 men who are actively peeing talking to each other. And what does that look like? Where are you looking? what kind of like details are you all talking about? What if it goes further? What if one person finishes peeing?
That's exactly
what happened. Do you end the
happened.
conversation, or like do you stand there and continue while the other one is still peeing?
You just turn around.
I have
and hold
so
eye
much I want to
contact.
see.
Because you just got the urinals. So wiener in hand and just talking. Like,
We lost Allison.
Just-
She's gone.
wiener in hand and looking at each other talking.
I know.
Eye contact. And I got done first and kept talking and crying, which makes it a different. That throws the whole scenario
The
for a loop.
intimacy that was happening in that
Yeah,
bathroom
'cause
at
I'm
the Paramount
crying
Art Center was
and grabbing
crazy.
tissues.
It was nuts.
And they were literally nuts.
Yeah.
These nuts. And I was in the middle of these tears from this thing. And I'm thinking I'm the only person in there too. And then he shows up and talks to me like we've been friends for years.
So why did that make you cry?
I was already crying.
Oh, okay.
And so he just was like, man, I think the guy before sounded more like Randy Travis. And I'm like, yeah, I see what you're saying with that, with him having a deeper voice. And so, but he,
I also want to know the first person who broke the mold of talking to another man while actively peeing in the bathroom.
It would
There's
be me.
so much around this.
I would do it.
What, break the mold and
yeah.
start just generations after that continue and follow you?
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense to me.
I think a women's is a tougher thought because I'm like, that's a tougher scenario.
Why? Because we have stalls?
You have stalls
And you have to
then,
literally shout for the next person to hear
yeah,
you?
you have to shout and then you have this secrecy with bathrooms. Like guys don't care.
Are you
like,
side by side? Could your elbows possibly be touching?
Possibly, depending on the bathroom. Oh my gosh. But you don't care as much because I don't think guys care that much because guys would do it. Guys, I feel like, are more open.
Yeah, I could see it going either way. I could see people being like, no, I don't do that. Like, I'm macho and manly. But then I feel like put a man in a bathroom and he all of a sudden becomes completely different.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just thoughts.
We're okay being open, and what about the farts and everything happening there? No one cares.
Yeah,
you know
I
what
pee
mean?
and fart simultaneously all the time.
But if
What
you go
about
into the
you
women's
guys?
bathroom, they have to have the stalls, and it's like more uneasy for them,
Yeah,
and it takes so long.
yeah. I do want to be a fly on the wall in a men's bathroom.
There was something I was going to say with that one guy, the Sam guy, because at
Mm-hmm.
the end, him taking that picture and him going to fall, and that bothered you.
It bothered me so much. Number one, so the guy who opened for Randy Travis, he had not a wireless mic, so it was a wired mic.
Extra wire.
Extra wire.
Crazy amount of like wire all over it.
Whoever was in charge of Sam L.
Horrible.
Smith's mic
Yeah.
needed to be fired and give
Yeah.
him a wireless mic. He was constantly whipping it over the speakers while he's performing in front of a theater full of people, whipping it and then like twirling it and throwing it behind his
Nay,
back.
whip and nay.
Yeah.
With the wire.
And then you could tell, I was so observant of his you could tell he was walking, and then when he'd feel it get too tight, he'd take a couple steps back. Like, did you notice that kind of stuff?
No,
I was
give
very
more
in
detail to
tune
that.
with him and his relationship with his wired mic.
Yeah.
It was insane. Then, at the very end of his concert, his opening session, whatever they're called, he hands his phone to his media person to take a picture of him and all the crowd behind him. And he backs up and falls over a speaker, and all the women in the room.
Everyone. Which is an auto thing that they can't even stop.
Yes.
Because I'm like, you would think that he was falling off the balcony, the top of the roof, and it was like he was dying.
Yeah.
And he was just
It
falling
was
a couple
a
feet.
simple stumble, but to me, after seeing such a struggle with the mic that whole time he was singing, only for it to end with him tripping over a speaker, really made my heart break. I was just like, I bet he wants to get off this stage so bad.
And I bet he was fine.
And just be done.
That's what I said.
You said, I bet he's fine. I said, oh my gosh, I bet he is so embarrassed. And you said, I bet he's fine.
Yeah. I would think it was funny if it happened.
Yeah, but
me, I
you're a
wouldn't care.
rarity.
I think
You have to have a lot of confidence.
I was
going to
say, I mean, if you just got done, your confidence is high because you just got done.
It's
though,
true.
Too, and you just sang, and you just had enough confidence to say, I'm going to do another one and introduce Randy Travis, and like your height, you don't feel like a failure
Yeah.
in that moment.
It's true, but I still felt for the guy. And then there was Jacob Tolliver,
And which was great.
who killed it on
He
the
was good.
piano from Portsmouth, Ohio, about 30 minutes from us. I don't know too much about his career, but he was an absolute blast
Yeah.
to watch him kill those keys on the piano. And I mean, he was pouring sweat. That was an insane workout. I bet he burned more calories during that minute and a half than I ever have during any of my
he
workouts.
went crazy.
It was
He went like,
nuts.
what's the guy, Jerry Lee Lewis? He was closer to that.
I don't know.
He was like that, for sure.
Head banging, head whipping, standing up, sitting down, fingers flying.
I know, that one was the most energetic. That was one of the best performances I've seen
Agreed.
of anyone.
So shout out to Jacob Tolliver. You did
Yeah.
great, and we thoroughly enjoyed you.
Well, that's me and Lauren. That's me and Lauren on our farm life, Randy Travis recap. We're thankful we got to share that with everybody this week. I wrote it down literally in the concert that we're going to talk about it at our next podcast.
It was super meaningful to us.
Super fun. We love you guys. We'll see you on the next episode.
See you next time.